This lecture is the continuation of my previous lectures on position and momentum measurements. Today I will talk about Dirac delta function, which is a very useful function in the context of quantum mechanics and electrodynamics. In previous lectures, while discussing on position and momentum representations in quantum mechanics, the orthonormality conditions of the position and momentum eigenstates were expressed in terms of the Dirac delta function as follows: delta x minus x minus p prime. Dirac delta function is an idealized concept that is defined as delta x minus x0 is 0 if x is not equal to x0 and it is equal to infinity if x is equal to x0. This function has actually an infinite high and infinitesimally narrow spike at x is equal to x0. So the function looks like this. So if we plot this function, it will look like this. This is x axis and this is the delta function. This point is x is equal to x0. So this function has an infinite high and infinitesimally narrow spike at x is equal to x0, and the integration of this function and the integration of this delta function over this whole region from minus infinity to plus infinity, the integration is equal to 1. That is, the area under the function is unity. Now we talk about different representations of the Dirac delta function. There is a Gaussian representation of the Dirac delta function. Gaussian representation of the delta function. A Gaussian function is given by this exponential this is a Gaussian function which is peaked at x is equal to x0, and sigma actually is the width of the Gaussian. If we plot the Gaussian function, it will look like this. This is x-axis. So we plot this Gaussian function with different values of sigma, that is different widths, then it will look like this, the Gaussian function, or like this. So we plot this Gaussian function with three different values of sigma. So this is, for example, sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3, and sigma 1 is in this case the width is higher, sigma 2 greater than sigma 3. So we plot here this Gaussian function with three different values of sigma, and it is very clear that the Gaussian becomes sharper and sharper as we decrease the value of sigma, and in the limit sigma tends to 0, one will have a delta function. So in the limit sigma tends to 0, this function, so in the limit sigma tends to 0, this Gaussian function will behave like a Dirac delta function, 2 pi sigma square exponential this function in this limit will behave like a Dirac delta function. So this will behave like a Dirac delta function when sigma is very small, and this will be very sharper, narrow, and this height will be very high, and the function will satisfy, that is delta x minus x0 dx from minus infinity to plus infinity, x varies from minus infinity to plus infinity, is equal to minus infinity. This Gaussian function, actually this will be 1. Actually for any value of sigma this integration is 1, and of course when sigma is very small, then also this integral will give us the result 1. So this is one particular representation of Dirac delta function. Another important representation of Dirac delta function is given by this integral delta x minus x0 is equal to 1 by 2 pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power plus minus I k x minus x0, integration variable is k. Okay. This is the integral representation of the Dirac delta function, and we will mainly use this integral form of the Dirac delta function. To see how this integral represents a Dirac delta function, let us evaluate this integral 1 by 2 pi integration minus omega plus omega e to the power I k x minus x0 dk. First we take some finite value, and later we will put omega equal to infinity, then we'll see what happens. So if we do this integral, we know that how to calculate the integration of an exponential function. So this will be 1 by 2 pi, and this will be 1 by I x minus x naught and e to the power I k x minus x naught, and then we have to put the limits. K is equal to minus omega and k is equal to plus omega. So if we put the limits here, then the result will be, so there is this I in the denominator, so if it goes to the numerator, then there will be minus sign, minus I by 2 pi x minus x0, then we have to substitute the limit here for k. So then we'll have e to the power I omega x minus x naught minus e to the power minus I omega x minus x naught. Now we know that e to the power I theta minus e to the power minus I theta is equal to twice I sin theta, right? So from here we will have this result minus I divided by 2 pi x minus x naught, and from here twice I sin omega x minus x naught, So after simplification we will have the result. This will be sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught. Actually one can check that for plus or minus here one will have the same result, that is this function. Okay, now we have evaluated this integral and the result is sine omega x minus x0 by pi x minus x0. Now if we plot this function, then we will see that for a large value of omega, when omega is very large, this function, that is this function, is sharply peaked around x is equal to x0 and has a unitary under the curve. So if we plot this function, how does it look? This will look like this. This is x-axis, and if we plot this function sine omega x minus x naught by pi x minus x, this will, so here the point x is equal to x0. So if we plot this function, so when omega is very large, this function will look like this. Hence in the limit omega going to infinity, this function behaves like a delta function. Hence in the limit, that is limit omega tending to infinity, this function sine omega x minus x0 by pi x minus x0, this function will behave like a Dirac delta function. So this will be Dirac delta function under the limit that omega is very large, omega is going to infinity. Hence when omega is very large or omega is going to infinity, this function under this limit will behave like a Dirac delta function. Hence the Dirac delta function can be expressed using this integral. So Dirac delta function delta x minus x0 is equal to 1 by 2 pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power plus minus I k x minus x naught dk. This function will actually give us the Dirac delta function. Hence the integral representation of the Dirac delta function is given by this. Now if we substitute p is equal to h bar k here, or k is equal to p by h bar, that means dk is equal to dp by h bar. We just substitute it here, then the Dirac delta function will look like this: delta x minus x naught is equal to, under this substitution, this will be 1 by 2 pi h bar integration minus infinity to plus infinity, because when k is minus infinity, p is minus infinity, k is plus infinity, p is plus infinity, the limit remains the same, and this will change to e to the power plus minus I p by h bar x minus x naught dp. So we will use this expression of the Dirac delta function in our discussion on position and momentum representation in quantum mechanics. Next, we talk about some important properties of the Dirac delta function. The first one is integration of the delta function, delta x minus x0 dx, from integration from minus infinity to plus infinity. This is 1. So although the Dirac delta function has a singularity at x is equal to x0, the integral over the function although the Dirac delta function has a singularity at x is equal to x0, the integral of the function over the whole region is equal to 1. The second property is integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x delta x minus x0 dx. This is equal to f of x0, where fx is just an ordinary function of x. Hence, an ordinary function fx multiplied by the Dirac delta function, and if we integrate that from minus infinity to plus infinity, the result is given by this, that is the value of the function at the point x is equal to x0. And the third one, integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x delta prime x minus x naught dx. This is equal to minus f prime x naught, where this prime indicates the derivative of those functions. So here delta prime x minus x naught is actually the derivative of the Dirac delta function, and f prime x is also indicates the derivative of the function fx. So if we multiply an ordinary function fx with the derivative of the Dirac delta function and then we integrate, the result is given by this, that is minus the derivative of the function at the point x is equal to x0. The fourth identity we need to use is the derivative of the delta function. The derivative of the Dirac delta function ddx of delta x minus x naught, this is equal to minus delta x minus x naught divided by x minus x naught. And the fifth one, delta x minus x naught is equal to delta x naught minus x. That is, Dirac delta function is an even function, which is actually clear from the mathematical expressions of the Dirac delta function. First, we show that integration of the Dirac delta function from minus infinity to plus infinity, this is always 1. So from the integral representation of the Dirac delta function, we already know that the delta function is equal to this thing limit omega going to infinity sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught. So under this limit, when omega is very large, this function behaves like a Dirac delta function. We have already shown that. So now we substitute this over here. So then this becomes this integral becomes minus infinity to plus infinity limit omega going to infinity sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught dx. So this integral becomes this. We have just substituted the Dirac expression of Dirac delta function, this one here. This is equal to 1 over pi. So this pi is just a constant, and we write it this as limit omega tends to infinity and integration minus infinity to plus infinity sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught dx. Here we have assumed that the order of integration and the limit can be interchanged. So we first integrate and then take the limit. Now inside this integral we make the following substitution. Here we make the following substitution: omega into x minus x naught, this is equal to a new variable y. So we put this substitution over there, and this means x minus x naught is equal to y divided by omega, and that implies that x is equal to x0 plus y divided by omega, which implies dx is equal to dy by omega, dy by omega. And also when x is equal to minus infinity, then y is also minus infinity, and so from the limiting situations are there when x is equal to minus infinity, y is also minus infinity. When x is equal to plus infinity, then y is also plus infinity. Then we have this integration, this from here we are writing on other side of the board, so that will be equal to 1 over pi limit omega tends to infinity, integration y is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, and sine omega into x minus x naught. So omega into x minus x naught is y, so this is sine y, this becomes sine y divided by actually this pi should not be here because I have already taken it out. Okay, so this x minus x naught is y divided by omega, and what is left? Dx, and dx is equal to dy by omega. This is dy by omega. So this omega and this omega will cancel, and we will have this 1 divided by pi limit omega tending to infinity integration minus infinity to plus infinity sin y by y dy. Now this is a standard integral which is also independent of omega now, and the value of this integral is, so the value of this integral is equal to pi. Hence we put the value here. So this will be 1 over pi multiplied by pi, so this will be just 1. So the integration of the Dirac delta function, we are getting the result 1. Also from the Gaussian representation of the Dirac delta function, we have already mentioned that Dirac delta function has this Gaussian representation, limit sigma. Under this limit, this Gaussian function will also give us a Dirac delta function minus x naught. This Gaussian is peaked at x is equal to x0. So if we integrate this Dirac delta function using this expression from minus infinity to plus infinity, that means integration of this function minus infinity to plus infinity, limit sigma tends to 0, 1 over 2 pi sigma square exponential of minus x naught square by 2 sigma square. So if we do this Gaussian integral, then the result will be 1, and which is actually true for any value of sigma. The Dirac delta function can also be expressed by the derivative of a function called Heaviside step function or theta function. So the Dirac delta function can be expressed by the derivative ddx of this step function or theta function. Actually, if we plot this theta function, it looks like this. This is x-axis, and if we plot this theta function, and this is our x is equal to x0 point, so this function looks like this. The value of this theta function is 1 in this region, that is when x is greater than x0, and the value of this theta function is 0 when x is less than x0. So integrating both sides of this equation, we have minus infinity to plus infinity the Dirac delta function. This will be equal to ddx of the theta function, this, right, minus infinity to plus infinity. So now this is the derivative of theta function and we are integrating, so the result will be just the theta function, and we have to put the limit of x is from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now, as I have already mentioned that the value of this theta function on the right side of this point is 1 and on the left side of this point is 0. So for x is equal to plus infinity, the value of this theta function is 1, and for when x is equal to minus infinity, the value of the theta function is 0. So this is equal to 1 minus 0. So this is equal to 1. In this way also we can show that the integration of the Dirac delta function over the whole region is 1. Let us now prove the following property of the Dirac delta function, that is integration minus infinity to plus infinity delta x minus x naught fx dx. equal to f of x naught, that is the integration of the Dirac delta function multiplied by an ordinary function fx is equal to the value of the function at the point x0. Now we have already seen from the integral representation of the Dirac delta function, the Dirac delta function is equal to this one, limit omega tending to infinity sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught. When omega is very large, this function represents the Dirac delta function. We have already seen that. Then the left hand side of this equation, the left hand side becomes, left hand side is equal to integration minus infinity to plus infinity, and we just substitute this expression over here. So this is limit omega tends to infinity sine omega x minus x naught divided by pi x minus x naught, and then there is this fx dx, f of x and dx. Now inside this integral we make the following substitution. So we put as before, we just make this substitution, omega into x minus x0 is equal to another new variable, and another new variable y, that means x minus x naught is equal to y divided by omega, which implies from here x is equal to x0 plus y by omega, and this implies dx is equal to dy by omega, and the limit of this integration remains the same under this change of variable, because when x is equal to minus infinity, y is also minus infinity, and when x is equal to plus infinity, y is also equal to plus infinity. So under this substitution, this integral becomes, I am writing it here, so that integral change like this, y is equal to minus infinity. So under that substitution, the integral changes like this, y is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, limit omega tending to infinity sine omega into x minus x naught, that is y, so this becomes sine y divided by pi, and x minus x naught is actually y by omega, and then f of x. So x is equal to now x naught plus y by omega, right? So I am writing here in place of x, I am writing here x0 plus y divided by omega, and then there is this dx. So dx is equal to dy by omega. Now this omega will cancel with this omega, and in this limit, that is in this limiting situation when omega is very large, that is omega tends to infinity, this omega is now in the denominator. So under this limit, this function will go to fx0, right? Then we have this integral is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, limit omega tending to infinity sine y by y. Actually there is a pi here, I am writing this pi outside. So sin y by y and f of x0, and then there is this dy. Now I can bring this f of x0 outside. So this is 1 by pi f of x0 minus infinity to plus infinity. Actually now this integral is independent of omega, so no need to write this limit here. And this integral is a very standard integral, as I have already mentioned. The value of this integral is equal to pi. So I just put the value here. Now the result is 1 by pi f of x naught into pi cancel. So this is equal to f of x naught, which is just the right hand side of this equation. So we have proved this identity satisfied by the Dirac delta function. Next we prove the following property of the Dirac delta function, that is integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x delta prime x minus x naught dx is equal to minus f prime x naught, where delta prime x minus x naught is actually the derivative of the delta function ddx of the Dirac delta function, and f prime x is the derivative of the ordinary function fx, ddx of fx. Let us now perform this integral on the left hand side of this identity. So that is left hand side is equal to integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x delta prime x minus x naught dx. We do this integral using the integration by parts, where we will consider this fx as a function ux, and this function, this delta prime x minus x naught, we will consider this as vx, and we will use the formula for the integration by parts. We know that integration of u v dx is equal to u integration v dx minus integration du dx integration v dx and the integration of this whole thing. So we will use this formula over here. The next step of this equation, I am writing it here on the other side of the board. So this is equal to f of x, this is our ux, and then integration v dx. V is now delta prime x minus x0. So this is delta prime x minus x0 dx minus infinity to plus infinity, the limit of the integration, minus integration du dx. U is fx here, so df by dx in our case, and then the integration v dx. V is again delta prime x minus x naught, so delta prime x minus x naught dx, and then we have to integrate this whole thing between the limit minus infinity to plus infinity. Now we focus on this integration. This is the derivative of the Dirac delta function. So if we integrate the derivative of the Dirac delta function, what we obtain? We obtain just the delta function. So this is equal to fx delta x minus x naught, and then we have to substitute the limits from minus infinity, x is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, minus this one, so this is minus infinity to plus infinity, df by dx, that is just f prime x we have defined there, and integration of this derivative of the Dirac delta function is just the delta function, just the delta function, and then there is this dx. Now we already know from the plot of the Dirac delta function, that is the value of the delta function at plus infinity, and also the value at minus infinity will be 0. So the value of the Dirac delta function at plus infinity is 0, and the value of the Dirac delta function at x is equal to minus infinity is also 0. So this term will actually vanish. So this term vanishes. So then we have only this term. So that means this is equal to minus integration minus infinity to plus infinity f prime x delta x minus x0 dx. And what is the value of this? This will be just this minus sign is already there, and the value of this will be just f prime x naught, because we have already proved that another identity of the Dirac delta function, that if we integrate a function gx multiplied by the Dirac delta function from minus infinity to plus infinity, the result is just g of x0. So consider that this gx is now f prime x, and integrate over delta function, Dirac delta function, that is f prime x multiplied by the Dirac delta function is now the value of this function at x is equal to x0. So we obtain this result. So this is our right hand side of this identity. So we have now proved this identity obeyed by the Dirac delta function. In my last lecture, I promised you to show another important identity satisfied by the Dirac delta function, that is the derivative of the Dirac delta function ddx of delta is equal to minus delta x minus x naught divided by x minus x naught, or by doing this cross multiplication, this equation implies x minus x naught ddx of delta x minus x naught is equal to minus delta x minus x naught. So let us now integrate both sides of this equation over an arbitrary function, arbitrary ordinary function fx. So we multiply here by this function, and then we integrate this from minus infinity to plus infinity, and we do the same thing here on the right hand side. We do the same thing on the right hand side. We multiply by this ordinary function fx and integrate this from minus infinity to plus infinity. So we do this integration, and also there should be a dx here. If we can show that this is equal to this, then that implies that this identity is actually valid. First we do this integral on the left hand side. So the left hand side is equal to, the left hand side is just this integral minus infinity to plus infinity f of x multiplied by this x minus x naught, and then there is this derivative of the Dirac delta function, that is delta prime x minus x naught dx. Then we will use the same trick here as we have used before. We will consider that this part of this function, we will consider this as a function ux and this as another function vx, and we integrate by parts. So then integrating by parts, we have ux means fx x minus x naught, then integration v dx, that is v is now delta prime x minus x naught, so we have to integrate delta prime dx minus integration minus infinity plus infinity du dx, that is derivative of this part of this integral. So derivative du dx means ddx of this thing fx into x minus x naught, then integration v dx, again integration v dx means delta prime x minus x naught dx, then we have to integrate this whole thing, there should be a dx here. So this is equal to f of x minus x naught. This is the derivative of the Dirac delta function, so the integration will be just this delta function, and we have to put the limit here, x is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity minus this thing. So this is integration minus infinity to plus infinity derivative of this thing ddx of fx multiplied by x minus x naught, and this is again the derivative of Dirac delta function. So when we do this integration, we will only have the delta function, and then there is this dx. Again this the value of the Dirac delta function at plus infinity and minus infinity both are 0, so this term actually vanishes, so we only have this term. So that means this is equal to minus integration minus infinity to plus infinity. If we do this differentiation of this bracketed term, we will have actually two terms from here. So those terms are x minus x naught times derivative of fx, x minus x naught times the derivative of this fx, the derivative of this function, right, df by dx, plus f of x multiplied by the derivative of this term. Derivative of this term is just 1, so we have this, and then there is this delta function. Okay, now we just multiply, this will be minus integration minus infinity to plus infinity x minus x naught, and this is df dx means f prime x, and then delta function, and there is another term, this fx multiplied by this, and there is a minus sign here, so this means minus integration minus infinity to plus infinity fx delta function dx. If we perform this integral, the result will be just this x0 minus x0 f prime x0, right, because we have to just put x is equal to x0, and then there is this term minus integration minus infinity to plus infinity f of x delta x minus x naught dx. So this is 0 actually, so this term vanishes, we have only this term, the value of this integral is minus f of x naught, because this function is multiplied by this Dirac delta function, so the integral the value of this is minus f of x0. This is actually the right hand side of this identity. So on the right hand side we can see this is the right hand side of this equation. Right hand side, this is also equal to minus, there is a minus sign, and this is equal to minus f of x0. So the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, which implies that the Dirac delta function satisfies this identity. Hence, the derivative of the Dirac delta function is equal to, we just have seen this, delta x minus x0 divided by x minus x naught. We recall that the orthonormality condition of the position eigenstates x and x prime was expressed in terms of the Dirac delta function. So this inner product was delta x minus x prime. In this case, the derivative of the Dirac delta function with respect to the variable x, so if we differentiate the Dirac delta function with respect to the variable x, so this ddx of delta x minus x prime, so that will be equal to minus delta x minus x prime divided by x minus x prime, which is actually the same equation as this one. Similarly, one can show that the derivative of this Dirac delta function with respect to the variable x prime is given by this. So if we perform the derivative with respect to the variable x prime, that is ddx prime of delta x minus x prime, that will be equal to delta x minus x prime divided by x minus x prime. Note that there is no minus sign over here when we differentiate with respect to the variable x prime. So this implies that doing this cross multiplication, this implies x minus x prime ddx prime delta x minus x prime is equal to delta x minus x prime. If we want to show this identity, we use the same trick. Then we integrate both sides of this equation over an arbitrary ordinary function fx prime. So we multiply here by this function fx prime and then integrate x prime is equal to minus infinity to x prime is equal to plus infinity. So the integration variable is dx prime. Now this we have to do in the right hand side also. So we multiply by this function fx prime and we integrate this from x prime is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity dx prime. And one can easily show using this integration by parts that the left hand side will be equal to the right hand side, which implies that this identity is obeyed by the Dirac delta function. Hence, we conclude from these two equations. We conclude from this equation and this equation ddx of delta x minus x prime is equal to minus dd x prime delta x minus x prime. So the derivative of this Dirac delta function with respect to the variable x is equal to minus the derivative of this same delta function with respect to the variable x prime. In our next lecture, we will use all these properties of the Dirac delta function when we discuss in more detail about the position and momentum representation in quantum mechanics. Thanks for watching this video. If this is the first time you are visiting my channel, please don't forget to subscribe it and tap the bell icon to get notified for my new videos. Please comment below. Your thoughts and suggestions should be greatly appreciated.